Hi there, this is Congressman John Curtis, and it is my distinct pleasure today to be speaking with a member of parliament. And that's exciting for me, MP Greg McLean. And I had to actually ask what the title is for a member of parliament, and it's MP, member of parliament. He and I have been talking about the Keystone Project and specifically President Biden's executive order. And the member brings some really good points that I wanted to ask so that people in the United States could really understand just exactly what happened. So first of all, Greg, tell us like what canceling this meant and exactly what just happened.
With the canceling of the Keystone XL pipeline by Fiat, really, President Biden's first day in office, we have lost a piece of infrastructure between our two countries, which matches some of the best resource up in northern Alberta that would go by pipeline towards where it's processed most effectively along the Gulf Coast in the United States. And the resource matches the infrastructure there almost perfectly. The actual displacement that would happen of the resource that would get to the coast there, the Canadian resource to the coast, would be the offshore oil that those refineries have depended upon and were built to process. So Mayan crude, Mexican Mayan crude, the production's been going down for years. Likewise with Venezuela, the supply of Venezuelan oil has been going down for years for other reasons. A lot of the backfill has been happening with offshore oil from Africa, the Middle East, places we don't really want to trade as much with, but come from a long way away. This is heavy oil, the same type of oil we'd be supplying from northern Alberta to service the Gulf Coast refineries.
So I first met you on a meeting not too different than this, where we were branded as international conservatives who cared about the climate. And we had that discussion. My perception has always been that Canada is ahead of the United States on environmental issues. Help me and those who listen to this understand why this is not necessarily a huge win for the environment.
This is actually a huge loss for the environment because now we will not have access to this market for a much more environmentally produced oil that can get to market. The actual environmental performance of Canadian oil sands oil is about 20% better over the last decade. No other international oil that would serve these refineries has met any of those standards from an environmental basis. Furthermore, the pipeline, Keystone Pipeline that was being built and mid-build on this actually was completely carbon neutral. So the company had actually designed it so that $1.8 billion was going into all kinds of alternative energy mechanisms to ensure the flow of oil in this pipeline was net zero emissions. So that's a huge environmental win. We're getting it down there without any emissions. Yes, there are emissions once you produce it, but the carbon footprint of the actual product itself is 20% less than the offshore oil. So that's a huge win for the environment. If we'd actually gotten it there, we've lost as a result of not having that infrastructure built and servicing Americans that are going to continue to need the products of those refineries.
One of the principles I think of a conservative person who's concerned about the climate would be we can't ignore market forces. So we've not changed market forces. That same amount of crude will be used. It will come from other sources. Because we've not really changed the market forces, I think would be another thing I'd add to that. All of us
Correct.
are concerned about our relationship with Canada. President Biden kind of campaigned on the fact that we were going to improve our relationship with our allies. I've been a little bit worried about the swiftness of this action by President Biden and what seemed to be not consulting with Canada. Give us a sense of your concerns about how this impacts the relationships with our good friends to the north.
Well, consultation is going to be important. We already have, as you pointed out, Congressman, a much higher carbon tax in Canada that supposedly is more environmentally friendly. It hasn't resulted in any more greenhouse gas reductions. It's just a tax, but it looks like a very virtuous way to approach the environment. We need to actually jointly with the US come up with all kinds of carbon mechanisms so we decarbonize our economies and address what's happening in the world. And I think that working jointly in consultation, that can happen. This action by President Biden, I think, worked negatively towards the outcome as far as the environment goes, but it actually worked very negatively towards the consultation process that will build on solutions we have going forward that will be better for the environment.
I wish we had more time, Mr. MP. May I suggest you and I do this more often and share our ideas on how we can help and boost environmental concerns around the globe. Thanks for taking a few minutes with me today.
Thank you very much.